I now invite Ms Susan Provan to deliver the occasional address. Susan Provan was a member of and became the General Manager of Circus Oz and assisted in the development of the company from a shambolic collective into the internationally recognised company that it is today. In 1993, Susan ran away from the circus and spent a year as Associate Producer of the State Theatre Company of South Australia. She returned to Melbourne to direct the Melbourne International Comedy Festival and has since then been engaged in developing the festival into Australia's largest annual cultural event. She has over 20 years' experience as a producer in the performing arts industry. She was the manager of Melbourne's legendary Last Laugh Theatre restaurant for 5 years in the mid-80s, where she worked with many artists who are now among Australia's most famous comedians. She is a board member of the Neon Heart Theatre and Strange Fruit, both Melbourne-based contemporary performing arts companies. Susan has also served on the Playing Australia Committee for the Federal Development for the Arts and the Maya Performing Arts Awards Committee. She is a member of the Administrative Committee and chairs the comedy panel for the National Helpman Performing Arts Awards. Please welcome Ms Susan Provan.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. It's a privilege to be here this morning on what must be a day when so many of you breathe an enormous sigh of relief. And I should note that if you're anything like me, it's not over yet. It took me 10 years, I think, to stop having anxiety dreams about finishing essays and freezing up in exams. I'll just tell you quickly a bit about what I'm doing now. I'm the director of the Melbourne Comedy Festival, which is a large, open festival, a bit like the Edinburgh Fringe and the Adelaide Fringe. For Australian artists, anyone who wants to be in it can be in it by paying a fee, and we basically create the environment within which we hope they can all present their best possible show and hopefully earn a bit of money at the box office. And we invite every year a roster of the most exciting contemporary overseas comedians to come and participate in the festival as well. So we have a small staff. Everybody works very hard, and the people that I work with come from a variety of backgrounds. I've been racking my brains for a kind of clear and zippy assessment of how my education formed the foundation of my career, and I canvassed a number of my colleagues for their experiences, which turned out to be similar to mine. We all realised that an obvious connection between our formal educations and our professional career paths is fairly tricky to define in our world. I graduated before the invention of arts admin degrees, and to be honest, when I'm employing people now, I'm probably more likely to employ someone with a commerce degree and loads of amateur or volunteering experience in theatre over someone with an arts admin degree and no hands-on experience at all. I don't want to put anybody off who's going in that direction, but clearly for me the work and doing lots of things is what's always been important and made people valuable. I always, though, will employ a person, I realise, with some tertiary experience, no matter what it is, over someone with none, because I know what a positive impact my uni experience had on my personal development and my ability to operate successfully in my professional environment, even though there wasn't a really clear-cut formal connection. Enormously formative years were spent during my university years hanging around the Union Theatre at Melbourne Uni, working on student theatre productions. Many of the friends I made have wound up with careers in the media or entertainment industry, so they continue as colleagues, or even more usefully, they went on to careers in politics or the corporate world, which gave me an in, or gives me an in still when I need to beg sponsorship assistance. So don't lose track of any of your pals, you never know when you're going to need them. 3 years of Indian history and politics may not immediately seem relevant to my job, where you take large entrepreneurial risks based pretty much on gut instinct, and then with my colleagues we fuel the energy necessary to pull off whatever our current project is purely with self-confidence. And I might add that self-confidence can go very wobbly at 3 a.m. when you wake up thinking, oh my God, are we really going to sell enough tickets tomorrow at the box office to make sure this show continues on the road? So university for me was a place where I could develop the courage that I've needed in my career in a relatively safe environment. Going to uni was huge for me. My kinder was the classroom, the one and only classroom of the one-room schoolhouse in East Gippsland where my dad was the solo teacher. I had a very nurturing and protected schooling in a very waspy eastern suburbs of Melbourne State School where I was generally one of the stars of the show. So arriving at Melbourne Uni with just two of my classmates from Mitcham High and other faculties was really quite terrifying as I discovered the full extent of my naivete and unworldliness. But likewise it was quite exhilarating as I realised the opportunities. And for me, especially those first few years, was figuring out how to harness those opportunities was the really big test. Gradually at uni, I realised that I was in an environment where people assumed I must have a certain ability and commitment, even when I was feeling way out of my depth. I felt the people around me were ready to listen, and they regarded what I had to say was as valid as what anyone else was burbling on about, amazingly enough. So I became brave enough to pretty much give anything a go. I talked to people I would generally have felt completely intimidated by. I said ideas out loud, and I headed off on adventures that my mother gradually gave up on trying to edit. I look at my 3-year-old daughter now testing all kinds of physical and intellectual boundaries, and I don't want to compare to my 3-year-old, but I feel like university was in a way that last big window for that sort of freedom and exploration between school and the disciplines of career and work. Inevitably, working environments bring a great deal of responsibility to and for other people, and inevitably that compromises the kind of risk-taking that you used to be able to do at university to a certain extent. But I think it's enormously important to take from university into the future that brand of nothing to lose courage and flexibility and exploration that's possible at uni. It's what gives the pursuit of a career optimism. It creates interesting and dynamic individuals with the marvellous ability to surprise, and that's what I really love in a colleague. It took me 10 years to finish my degree because I wanted to do everything. When the time came to get that last essay in, I was working several jobs, funding my love of the performing arts world by working as a travel agent and a waitress and various other things. I finally got the letter saying, if you don't finish that last unit, you're going to forfeit all the other ones. And I just thought, I can't possibly do that. That's too depressing. So I actually sent my last essay in from a beach in Kenya. It was an essay, some kind of international relations essay, so it was kind of relevant to where I was at the time. And I remember my tutor took off 10 marks because it was late, but then he put 10 marks back on again for the cleverness of getting the essay posted from a beach in Kenya. And I often think about that flexibility and that willingness to encourage someone who is basically doing a million things and not playing entirely by the rules. And it's certainly something that I look for in my staff now, and is a really important thing, I think, to take into the world, and for employers to encourage in people, and for people like you and me to never give up on, because you never really know what's going to be important. Of all the things that I've done in my life, it's amazing the little bits that get plucked out that help me through crises now, whether it's dealing with a comedian freaking out who hasn't turned up at a gig and you're thinking, how on earth do I handle this, or whether you're needing to go and beg a sponsor for something big, or whether you've said something entirely inappropriate about your government funding and the arts minister and it's actually been printed in the media when you thought you were off the record. It's amazing all the things through life that actually wind up helping and being important. So I'd urge everybody, no matter what your course has been or what is on the piece of paper that you're proudly holding now, continue to just try anything and don't give up any opportunity, because the formal pathway might be seeming very important at the time. It's all the stuff along the way that helps in the end make you the person that is able to grasp any opportunity and presumably make a big success of it. So congratulations everybody. It's marvellous. I envy you having this opportunity today to do all of this in front of family and friends, because I was away on a job when my graduation happened, so this is actually the first time I've put on a gown. I'm feeling quite proud. So congratulations, and thank you for having me here today.